Hi, loves, and welcome back to It's Giving Realty podcast, the podcast that gives you the realty in real estate. Every chance I get, every opportunity, I'm going to give you the tea when it goes to realty. Okay. And so, in order to do that, I have guests on that are either clients or professional experts within some realm of real estate so that you can learn more every day, every time you tune in. So, today is no different. I have with me one of my very, very dear clients who turned family and also attorney, Miss Bianca Moore. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. How are you, Stylist?
I'm good. How did I do that? Was that a good intro for you?
It was a great intro,
Okay.
and I'll try not to laugh because I just love the energy. I love the name of the podcast. I'm so excited.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me for sure. I mean, you and all of the other clients are the reason this podcast exists. So really thank you all for just always pushing me to do more. I want to provide the community with as much information as possible because I often see that there's a lack, not an inability to purchase, but just a lack of knowledge on how to. And with every time I've worked with you or people you send my way, because you're good for sending a referral, okay? And I love you for that. But they're always like, can you do videos? Can you do informationals? Like, we want more from you. And so I did a little fast, a little, let me talk to God and see how I can do that with all the things I already have going on. And he was like, why aren't you doing a podcast? Like, conversational, really light, informal, but very entertaining and educational so that people feel encouraged to take on this journey or do more within the real estate journey. So thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
Okay, for pushing me, him for making it clear, but you all for continuing to push me to just keep showing up. So I really appreciate that.
Of course, my friend.
Anyway, okay. So we're gonna get started because we have two-part for you because I want to talk about some attorney-related things that when it comes to real estate. But first, I want to talk about you as a client. You know what I say? I'm not just the president. I'm also a client.
I'm screaming. I'm screaming.
So I want to talk about you as a client first. So let's talk about what your journey was looking like before I came into the picture. What were you, what was going on?
Lord Jesus.
Give me the realty.
Well, Lord Jesus, my journey was a bit crazy. Like, it was going, and then it stalled, and then it picked back up real quick, right? So first, right before I had just gotten bought, I was like a 1 month attorney. No, I was a 3 month attorney. COVID hit, and we were all kind of like in our houses, kind of feel like, what we doing? I'm listening to a shit ton of podcasts, right? And so there was this one podcast of that was talking about like real estate and investing and starting businesses and things like that. And my dad's actually a realtor, platinum realtor.
Yeah.
One of the best. One of the best, because Stylist is definitely one of them. And so, owning real estate, like, he's never rented at all. And so I was renting out, talking to my dad. I'm like, dang, why am I sitting here renting, paying someone else's mortgage, and I could be buying my own. So then I got with this realtor. I definitely wanted someone who was a Christian, someone who I thought had my best interest. But he was showing me around certain places, and I felt like it wasn't like the best cultural fit because he was specifically telling me not to buy in certain places, only taking me to places he thought I could afford, and really it kind of discouraged me. So almost like a year and a half lapsed. But then during that time period, I joined this social club, and I met one of the most important people in my life now, Stylist, right? And so I told her I was looking, and I was telling her some of the things I was dealing with my realtor, and she was like, okay, that's interesting. I don't know, well, I'm here for you if you have any questions. But she was very clear on, like, I'm not taking you from your realtor. And I appreciated that. And so during the plateau of like a year and a half, randomly, she would just check in. Hey, boo, how you doing? Just asking where I was. And I said, you know what? I haven't thought about it in a while, but this is where I am. Do you think you can help me? When I tell you, every time I recommend someone, I said, look, if you're not ready to buy right now, don't be talking to Stylist. No, because I really went from thinking that I could not afford anything to being in a house, I think, within a 4-month span. Like, and now, I don't know if you want me to talk about this. Like, I'm not just in a house. I'm in like
you can talk about any and everything.
Okay. Yeah. I'm in a duplex that is income producing at this point, when everyone was telling me I won't even be able to afford like a basic, like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I have a 3-bedroom, 3-bath on each floor duplex. So it's actually 6 bedrooms and 6 baths. Like, You can't tell me that's not the Lord, and I thank stylists for that every day. So that's in a nutshell my journey, toward becoming a homeowner.
Yeah. And so the first time I am not a person that real estate is cutthroat. Mm-hmm. I'm not a person that's going to step on toes. Like the first time we talked and I knew you weren't happy with your current realtor, other people would be like, call me that I'm not, you got to tell them you're finished with them before I because I never want to, there's been actually times, not often, thank God, where I've helped people and then their cousin get licensed. Mm-hmm. And then they use the cousin. I get it. It's family, but the cousin doesn't know anything. So you want to call me for this? You know what I mean? And so I never want to be the person who somebody's invested time and then you're not using them. I mean, in that case, it's not the same because he really, from the stories you had told me, and you were very good about being delicate with what had been said and done to you, right? But from what you were sharing with me, he was not someone that had your best interest at heart and or really even understood you is what I would say. No. And a lot of preconceived notions and uneducated assumptions.
Implicit biases too, let's be real.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm not gonna lie, that's part of the reason I got into real estate when I did was because I knew that there were not always, not that they don't exist, there were not always gonna be people that either understood what our financial situation was like, and it's not for lack of money, because Black women are making a lot of so it's not, but just not understanding, us in general, what we're looking for, et cetera. Like I knew that, or either we're making a ton of money and they're just assuming that we don't. So I got into it because I wanted to help minorities, get a part of the quote unquote American dream, or be able to do generational wealth. So when you talk to me, you were like one of the people I would be fighting for. So I really was peeved. To be honest, but I did not show that. I was like, okay, that's what I say. Interesting. I'm like, well, I know you.
Interesting was definitely the word.
That's what interesting. And so I just said to you, hey, if you don't like what's going on, you talk to him, tell him this, that, and the third, or whatever. And so when I checked in, and you were like, I want to move forward with you, and I was like, are you still working with you? He was like, no, I'm done. I'm like, okay, well, now that gets me going because now I'm even more so wanting to show better than I can tell you that was not your reality. There's a lot of projection that happens too in real estate. Like if something happened to that realtor, if that realtor had a client that couldn't do a certain thing, now all of a sudden everybody can't do a certain thing. And it's just every situation is so different. And I mean from every aspect. Like how many credit cards do you have and how long have you had it versus the other person? How much debt do you have? Is your credit bad credit or unestablished credit or new credit? Those things, though the numbers may look the same, the way that we can increase them is different. And the timeline that it takes to increase is different depending on the situation, right? So I am never going to look at one client and say, oh, since this happened, then, oh, this is sounding this. I'm never going to do that. So I was really excited when you were willing to, because I also know because so much time had passed that you were kind of deflated in it.
Very discouraged.
Yes. And so when we talked, you was like, I'm ready, but it was kind of like, here we go again.
Yeah.
And so I told you that then, I applaud you for moving forward, even though I knew you were kind of exhausted from the process. And I really wanted to do my best to show you, there's no reason why I should have been exhausted to begin with. There were things that we had to work out and fix, but it was doable. You were gainfully employed.
Yeah. And I think what was the biggest thing was I wasn't even making that much more money. I think when I was working with that guy, I was making $50,000 because that's what I was a public defender. Now.
Yeah, right.
That's what they make. So
look, that's so don't come for.
So then
that's what you think about doing.
We can talk about it.
Yeah.
But then I was making just 60.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a $10,000 difference,
which ain't that big of a.
But if you remember, he didn't encourage you to do multifamily because he said you couldn't afford a single, and that's part of the problem. And what could have happened in his defense, right? You could have said, "Well, I want this, and this, and a single family," and maybe in your budget you're not gonna find that in the areas you want it to be in, and so maybe that's why you feel like da. Whereas I'm gonna say, at the time you're single. It's just you. We can get you all that, but let's put you in a duplex and somebody else can help you pay it. So instead of telling you, no, you can't get that single family you want because you're asking for too much and the budget doesn't allow for it, I'm going to figure out how can we get all those things you want and remain in budget. And the best way was a multifamily because somebody else was helping you pay, that mortgage. And also that income from that other half, a percentage of that is used towards your income. Yeah. So even though you made $60K, you qualify for more than a person making $60K. Yeah. So I'm always where there's a will, there's a way. As long as my clients don't quit on me, I'm not quitting on them.
And it was so crazy because I was looking at the single families I was looking at was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, right? And technically, the unit that I'm staying in my house is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths.
Yes. And it was brand new.
Brand spanking new. Yeah. So it's...
Yeah, we definitely hit the jackpot.
How God works.
It's just, and so I always tell people, get them a praying realtor. Like, I pray on everything before I proceed because life be life, and and real estate can get real. So I'm always going to talk to him before I proceed. But I feel like if I'm doing that, then even when there are obstacles that come against us, like no weapon formed against us shall prosper. You know what I mean? Like, and when 2 or more comes together, like I'm bringing that out when it gets tough, Yeah. And so I think as a result of that, a lot of times, even when there is you don't even realize it because he's already taking care of it. Like he came before us and removed it. So we got the double. I was very happy for you. We had a great closing.
We did have a great closing.
You were like, can we do this again? I'm like, yeah, we sure can. So we had a great closing. We had a great time. And I really, really was so proud of you. Oh, and then remember, Mom and Dad FaceTimed us.
Oh, yeah.
So that was cute. Especially since that, Dad being a realtor, I also want him to know, like, hey, you can trust that I have your daughter's, best interest at heart. And I'm going to take care of her to the fullest extent. So it was cool.
And she did, Dad.
Yes, I did. And then... this is off topic, but Mom looks like Sissy, okay? But she was like, hey, Stylist, I want you to meet my mom. And Mom like, hey, Stylist, like, where's Mom? Where's Mom? Mom look good. Okay, I see what that did. Mom looks good.
Mom looks good.
I was just very happy that they were happy for you because I know because of that time that had passed with the other, everybody's kind of like skeptical, So thank you for trusting me. And, that's to people out there, like, stick with it. If it was a no with somebody else, maybe you might need to get you somebody else to help you. Probably me. But you can get anybody. Just make sure that they're qualified and they're passionate about what they're doing and they care about you as an individual, not just like a file or another closing.
Yeah, someone who's definitely invested in you who also get creative because I think that that's one of the things that really helped me push forward. Like when I was like, okay, well, I know I want to be in a certain neighborhood. Like I want this, I want that. And she was like, well, you're single, so have you thought about I thought about multifamily, but again, my other realtor was really discouraging me from doing that. And even like finding like more sources of income. I didn't think about getting I'm a lawyer. Why would I need another job for, right? But I found the perfect supplemental income, and that honestly is what helped me get like a lot of the down payment, for that. So don't be afraid to kind of get in the trenches with your attorney and really think about like what are the ways in which you can make it work. Because now I don't have 2 jobs; I'm only working 1 job, but I have this like literally money making machine that in a couple months actually I'll have equity in. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you also have to get a realtor that's willing to be in the trenches with you. That's part true. Of it. Because had he been willing to, So yeah, get in the trenches and see. Because I think I asked you because the difference. So one thing, the reason we ended up getting like some supplemental with a single family, assuming you qualify, which in your case you would have qualified, you can get down payment assistance, right? And so you don't have to worry about the down payment cost. Because you can get assistance. But they do not offer at this time, now this is a dated episode. Maybe things have changed at some point. But at this time of shooting this episode, they do not offer down payment assistance for multifamilies. So even though you can own or occupy and it's still considered residential, you are making money off of it. So they will not offer down payment. And so when I suggested the multifamily, I knew that down payment would be something that, we didn't have to consider before. And so even sometimes that can be scary to people. But get a little side, stack that money. It doesn't take long because it's not. It doesn't have to be a ton of money. Sometimes it is. If you're trying to buy $800,000 multifamily,
you're gonna be grinding.
You need to grind. It might take more than 2 or 3 months to get that down payment. And guess what? That's okay because you wanted an $800,000 home. But it didn't take long for you to stack it. I gave you, and you also are that person. Like I gave you the numbers. I gave you what that looks like. And you're like, oh, I bet I could do that.
I'll work for that.
Yeah, exactly. And so to this day, I'm so grateful that you did because at any time you can buy a single family and you can still, if you FHA'd, you could refi and still use the 3.5, or you can do conventional anyway and still put less down, for your next home. But this way, you got that investment property, and when you purchase, both of those rental incomes will be added to your income. So like say if you wanted to get the big house, right? The dream house, the forever home, whatever, that is going to be contributing to your income. So I'm just proud that you were willing to hear me out, and consider the options. So, and your home is so beautiful.
I know, I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
My Airbnb is nice too.
I see what you did. I see what you did there. And this is coming from somebody who couldn't afford to buy anything. Mm-hmm. You see, you got to get somebody to believe in you. For real. Seriously. I'm telling you that I am adamant about getting more ownership happening across the board. And I'm hoping that this is a platform to make people more comfortable.
I said an agreement.
Yes.
In Jesus' name.
Okay. We'll take a little moment of silence. Amen. All right. So, since you mentioned the Airbnb and you having a double, so you either renting it out long-term, short-term, or Airbnb, how have you enjoyed, and it's okay if there's been cons, like we want to be real with them, but what have you enjoyed about that income, and then what has been like some of the difficulties of it?
I like to end on a good note, so I'll talk about the difficulties. I definitely think the difficulty is living in a city that does not want Airbnbs. Like New Orleans, we really do actually have kind of like a housing crisis. And me being like a social justice person, like a person who believes that they're like culturally and civically responsible, it was a hard decision to choose to use Airbnb. I thought it was the best way, though, to get me some quick income while I was stacking up my money, because at the time I was a solo practitioner. I had my own law firm. So I needed like some guaranteed money. And so New Orleans has some really interesting laws when it comes to like Airbnb. Like,
that interesting word just comes in handy.
It does, and because I want to say another word.
I know you do.
Interesting in that you have to live there. Like, you have to live there. You also like have to like have like a homestead exemption to prove that you live there. You can only rent out 3 of the rooms.
Yeah, they limited it. Like, even if you have a 5-bedroom house, you could only do 3. You have a 6-bedroom house, you only do 3. I don't even understand the gist behind it, but
it's the craziest thing, and only up to 6 guests. I had a friend who recently, even though she wasn't renting up to 8 people, had a mistake like on her Airbnb. Said she was renting to 8 people. Every day they checked
it said that it could fit. Like, it could,
I think that's what it was. Yep. It could house 8 people. She wasn't renting to up to that many people. They fined her for every last single day they checked the Airbnb in sight.
And it was still there.
It was there. Fined her $11,000.
But never notified her.
Never notified her.
I was so livid about this.
A violation of your due process. And then she tried. She was like, "All right, I'm gonna appeal it." They have no real legal process, right? It's so new. It's kind of predatory. So I think like being in a city that is not really supportive of short-term rentals, that's definitely a big con.
Especially when it's a city that affords for a lot of short-term rentals, because it's the most visited, tourist city that you can think of for the size. Like, we get a lot of tourists here, so it would be so easy to continue to do short-term rentals. But they don't make it easy.
Yeah. I think the second one is not really a con, because I kind of like it, but the con would be like being like in a neighborhood that's not like, it's my neighborhood is like developing, right? But it's not developing as fast as I would like it to. But I just made friends with all my neighbors. But if you're not someone who's like really like friendly like that, that could be a con for you, because like you see certain things, and your Airbnb guests might be like, your neighborhood doesn't look that safe or whatever. But actually, because I have a lot of like older like residents in my neighborhood, it actually is really safe. But if you're dealing with like different cultures and stuff, wanting to rent out your Airbnb, they might think it's something else. So then you have to break through that. You have to really market and get more people to come to your Airbnb to say like, oh no, it's actually nice. And you can look at my reviews and see like, no, this is nice. The neighbors are friendly. But at first glance, it might not seem that way. So I think it matches my personality. Definitely the cons. I actually love kind of preparing my Airbnb for my guests. I write like little notes for them when I have like this chalkboard.
So this is your pros.
Definitely my pros. Yeah. Like I write like on a chalkboard for them. It's pretty stable income, especially around festival season.
Which
New
is
Orleans.
Consistent.
New Orleans, I think about like 9 out of the 12 months, there is something actively going on. 3 months, okay, you might have a little lag. Maybe I get like 1 or 2 bookings. But other than that, especially Mardi Gras, you can make a lot of money. Airbnb being your property.
Yeah.
And then it's just like peace of mind, right? That majority of your mortgage is going to be paid off. So then I can spend certain funds like I sling bricks for El Chapo. I might gotta cut that out. But I can go on trips more that I didn't really have money for my budget. I can, indulge in like certain luxuries and things like that. Or honestly, I can save more money to buy my next property.
Yeah, because she's trying to buy up the block.
I am trying. I'm trying to buy up the block for my community.
Yeah, but of
course. Buy up the block. I only pay, I think, like $500 toward my $3,000 mortgage, and that's when it's lagging for my Airbnb. So most of the time, I don't have to pay. So,
which I have to go on record saying, did you hear that? Because the biggest thing is like people who rent. Before, if you were buying a single family home, I could tell you that your mortgage would be cheaper than your rent. Well, now with interest rates and insurance, that's probably not the case. But in multifamilies, that's still the case. And so when people look at a home that's hundreds of thousands of dollars, they're like, "Oh my God, I don't want da. And it's like, no, you are not paying that. That's what you got. You got tenants for that. And even when because there may be a lack, like you're saying, when it's like, let's say they don't have an Airbnb, even if it's a rental and there's downtime, if you're smart with your money, because remember, you didn't have to pay a certain amount. So if you're smart I always tell my clients to put 6 months aside before you start using it as extra income, right? Then you're going to be fine when it's not rented or when it's not booked, And then for Airbnbs, it books out way more than you could have rented it monthly. So if you're being smart with your money, you don't have to be overwhelmed. So now you have a new house that is six bedrooms, 6 baths, and you're paying $500 a month. And that's when it's slow.
In a bad month.
Exactly.
In a bad month. So.
And all the money that you are making now that you're not using to pay your mortgage, you can either stack or travel so that you can go make experiences or purchase your next one and do the same thing. Because I always believe in a rinse and repeat. Like if it worked for you the first time, it's not broken, don't fix it, know? So I think people need to hear that because they get so overwhelmed. I get it. Houses are $300,000, $400,000. Like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. But it's like, it's all in how you approach it. I love rentals because somebody else is paying your mortgage off for you, which is crazy. It's like a free gift. So sometimes I get clients that want to make $3,000 a month off a double. And it's like, okay, you're not going to make that out the gate, babe. However, you're living for free. So take whatever $2,000, $2,500 you were paying in rent and pay it to yourself. And you are nearly making $3,000. So it's all about like how your perspective and how you see it. And you've been really good about like, if this, then this, if this, then this. So you're never in a situation where you're feeling like, oh, I'm house poor, I'm this or I'm that. And then if it went bad, you're fine because you planned accordingly.
Yeah, I'm going to plan it and I'll get a job real quick.
Yeah,
a side hustle real quick. Ironically, I am Jamaican, actually. Yeah. My biological father is Jamaican. So, yes, we'll get a job real quick because I ain't.
She's not about to lose the house. She's not about to sell the house.
Am not.
And we about to buy another one.
And is.
Okay, we spend a lot of time on your personal. I do want to get a little bit into your business as an attorney because you do wills and trust. Okay. And I want to just quickly tell people what kind of the difference is and when you would suggest one versus the other. And then we might play a little game.
Okay. So will is something that everyone should have, right? It pretty much is a document that you create saying like, this is what I want to happen to my property when I pass, right? And so that's really like the bare bones of it, right? And if you don't have it, then you're what the government considers to be intestate, meaning that it's not going to go based on your wishes. It's going to go based on what the law is, right? And sometimes, depending on if there's a whole bunch of children, that can make things really, really messy because now if you got like 4 kids and maybe one of them passed and they got a whole bunch of like grandchildren, all of those people are going to own properties all together in equal parts. With some like exceptions, right? So like you have to really make sure that you have a will so whatever your wishes are essentially can happen after you pass. If it's not in the proper form, the government's not going to be like, okay, we understand that Bianca wanted this house. I can say all day, if Stylist, let's say, Stylist, my daughter, oh, she wanted me to have the house. If it's not in a valid document, the government can't enforce that, right? So a trust is a little bit different. Yes, it is another... You create it, it's another document, but what it does, it avoids you having to probate your will. So if you have a will, you're going to have to take it to the court. You're going to have to hire an attorney. In most situations, you should hire an attorney. You're going to have to go through a legal process to try to get the property in the person's hands that you want it to be in, right? If you don't have a will, you're still going to have to go to court and things are going to be a little bit different and you're still going to have to, work with the court system even more intently to get, your property into the right person's hands. When you have a trust, though, your trustee, you won't have to go to the courts. They'll just need to fill out the proper documents. If it's like real property, such as like a home or land, you can fill out a quitclaim deed. maybe we'll have another episode and I go into more detail as to those things. But, you fill out a quick claim deed, you get that transferred, or if it's a bank account, you can just bring this document or fill out these documents and bring it to the bank and easily get your money. A trust, I would say, if you have a lot of real property, which is, of course, like land or homes and things like that. In Louisiana, we say immovable property, right? But a home or some land or something like that. I say if you have more than one and you want it to be divvied up a very specific type of way, I would actually recommend a trust, right? If you have maybe just some bank accounts, or if you have just a limited amount of property, you might not need a trust because the cost of getting an attorney to fill that out might be more hassle and more money than if you just have a will and go to the court, right? Because in Louisiana, from the date of when this video is created, right, filing for a small succession based on a will can be maybe $500 some odd dollars, right? If it's a small one, it's half that, right? Versus going to an attorney to have them create a trust can be $1,500, $2,500, depending on how much money that attorney charges, right? So it really just depends on how much property you have, and if you have very specific demands on how you want your property to be divvied up. Also, if your family fights a lot, you definitely want to have a will, and you definitely want to probably have a trust if you have a lot of property. Now, you can go to another attorney. They might disagree. That's based on my experience. I only recommend trust, again, when you have more than one house or piece of land, and when you have a lot of money that you want to disperse. Hope that answers your question.
It did. And in case it didn't, we're going to play Will It or Trust It, okay? I'm going to ask you a question, and we're pretty much short on time, so my producer's going to just keep running this because I really want to play this game, okay? So I'm going to ask you a question or give you a scenario, and you're going to tell me you should will it or trust it, okay? All right. So I'll start off basic, so let's see if they were paying attention. They can guess at home as well. So I am a mom who has one home. Should I get a will or a trust?
The lawyer answers always it depends, but I would recommend a will.
Yes. And we're going to base it solely on information given. Obviously, there's always other factors, right, that may affect it, but just so they get a basic understanding or which way they might want to lean in their situation, right? Okay, let's see. I only have one home, but I also have 2 plots of land. Will or trust? Oh, and 3 kids.
Basic bare bones.
Trust. Okay, let's say I own 5 plots of land, 1 child. And why do you say will for that one?
So 5 plots of land and 1 child, everything's going to, if you want everything to go to that child,
right?
You can just do it you can do it just a basic will. I think too much money for a trust. A trust might come in if, again, you wanted specific things, such as I only want them to get a couple $100,000, or I only want them to get 1 land per year, something like that. A trust, right? So, but continue.
What's the most common one that you have seen used in your time working and doing wills and trusts?
Wills.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually, whenever my client wants a trust, I automatically also do a will just in case, because people don't realize you can create a trust, but if you don't actually place all that property in the trust, it's just a document. So, and what I mean by place the property in the trust, you're taking it out of your name
and putting it
in the trust name, right? So, but I also do a will just in case, because if not, if you didn't place all that property in that trust, what does that make you? Intestate, as to the property that you did not put into that trust, because that you don't have a will that would actually govern what to do with that property. That might sound a little complex, but that's you got to make sure. I generally just do both, just in case. Right.
So basically, if they're doing a trust, you automatically do a will. If they're doing a will, the trust may not come up, but for sure, if you're doing a trust, both happens. And that's a good point, because a lot of people, it's kind of like when you create a business, right? So for example, I need to create an LLC, put my company in LLC to protect myself from somebody trying to sue me and take my property or anything else I own. Mm-hmm. So I create the LLC, but I never had the time to change the ownership over to the LLC. Mm-hmm. It does not actually benefit me. That's kind of what you're saying with trust. That's very important.
Exactly, yeah. Because, again, remember, this is just like a document. You actually have to move the property over into the trust's mm-hmm. name. Again, there's some other things that go along with that. Like if you have a house, you want to live in it. We all know we get a homestead exemption in Louisiana. You might not want to put that one in the trust because mm-hmm. you're going to lose that mm-hmm. when you put that in there.
You lose the homestead exemption when you put it in a trust.
Depending on what type of trust you have, right? So yeah. I really think that if you're considering a trust, do not do it. I know LegalZoom likes to tell y'all can create a trust. Do not do it. Do not do it. Go find an attorney. A will you could technically create without an attorney, but again, I think that these are so important and they can lead to so many issues down the line if they're not done correctly on the proper format. Just go talk to an attorney.
Yeah. I agree. I always say everything is not DIY friendly. Mm-hmm. Like, get you a professional, get your expert, because mm-hmm. you're going to get what you pay for. If you paid nothing, then you might end up with nothing mm-hmm. because you were trying to save a couple dollars and now you lose hundreds of thousands. Mm-hmm. So we will definitely have to have you back because we can really get into this, weeds, right? Yeah. But you can trust that
we will.
Yeah. Not you and will.
Be back.
We will. So I would definitely have you back to really break into this. I really want to give them everything that I can think of so that they feel equipped to, really get things going, but also protect what they get. You know what I'm saying? Be able to protect their assets and not lose it. And especially for those like parents who are creating generational wealth, not have them obtain it and then their kids don't get it because they didn't protect it the way it needs to be protected. So you'll definitely be coming back, okay? And also you can trust that I'm going to be getting me a trust because I have multi-families and multi-children and we want to make sure that everything is done the way that it should be. So we'll talk about that, of course, down the line. We'll really soon but anyway, okay. So I want to thank you for coming. Before we get off, can you please look into your camera and tell them where they can find you, locate you, communicate with you if they are wanting to move forward with a will and or trust to utilize your services?
Yes. So if you want to reach me, you can email me at BMoore, like my name, Bianca Moore, at BMoore lawfirm.com, or you can call me at 504-264-1083.
I love the 4. She's not from New Orleans, y'all.
Sorry, y'all.
I love that.
It's the boss thing coming out.
I love it. 4. We be like 4. No R. Where'd the R go? I don't know. But
I don't have an R either.
No, but you're 4. It's in there. It's just a AH or something.
Just flowing open.
Yeah. So anyway, but yes, be sure to contact her. I know I will because you better trust that I'm going to protect my stuff. So you got to double back one more time. Thank you all for tuning in. We will continue to bring you as much information as we can so that you can get started on your real estate journey or elevate your real estate journey because you should be owning something, okay? And you're already paying a mortgage. It may as well be your own. Forever you'll need shelter. So it's something to think about. So make sure you email us, DM us for anything you want to see, guests that you love, that you wanted more information from, whatever you need from us, I'm trying to provide it to you. So be as open as possible and just let us know what you want to know about. You can DM us. You can email us. You can email us at stylist@realestatewithstyle.org. You can DM us at It's Giving Realty Podcast on IG or It's Giving Realty Podcast on TikTok. I don't know if TikTok is a DM, but however you message people on TikTok, send the message. We'll check, okay? And we will see you next time with another guest to give you as much as we can the real tea of real estate. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.